So I'm working on moving all these wires away from all the edges before I weld in the cage, because I got this car's got these wires, a lot of cars do, that run down inside the fender wells and through the firewall into the cab. So I gotta get all that pulled out. There's wires that run right here on this plastic header. Gotta get pulled out. It all runs under the battery. I need to move the battery in the cab anyway. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. I got this 20-foot jumper cable from Menards for 30 bucks, I think. And it's 2-gauge wire, and it's doubled up, so it's actually 40 feet of 2-gauge cable. So that's pretty cheap to go that way. Well, I was looking at this positive battery cable going to the battery, and I don't really want to get rid of that whole contraption there, so I don't want to mess anything up. So I was looking at it. This cable on the bottom, it just goes straight to full 12 volts from the battery. So I think I can just cut into this cable and splice it into my jumper cable and run that inside and get the 12 volts to the whole system that way. And then I'll just splice into the ground same way. The best way I found to splice these big cables is just these big 2-gauge butt connectors, butt splices. I got this on Amazon. I don't remember. I got it when I was building the Cavalier. I don't remember how much I paid for it. It wasn't much. But you got to use some, I use channel locks to crimp these. Well, I got all the wires pulled away from all the edges and out from the fenders, and I ran everything over the firewall. So try to keep it from getting pinched. And it'll just go under the hood and over the firewall. And I was thinking about this positive wire, and these splices are really only big enough for one cable per side. See what I mean? Like, it's only big enough for one end to go in. And if I cut that wire and spliced it, I'd have to stuff one end of that wire in with this. So I kind of had to get a little bit creative with it. I think it's going to hold fine. I just stripped this wire back pretty far, wrapped the cable around the bolt, twisted it real tight, put a hose clamp on it for good measure, heat shrinked it for good measure, and now it's going to go, well, back into that block, and I'll put the nut on it and tighten it down, and then I'll just splice the ground together. This whole block, I'm just gonna have to wrap the whole thing with electrical tape because it's got metal showing everywhere. I just got the jumper cable run under the dash, and I'll just cut this to length when I'm done up there. This is gonna be the battery box right there. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not going anywhere. It's sandwiched in there pretty tight. Focus on that. And I can pull that pretty good. So I'll just wrap that whole thing in electric tape real good. I'm gonna get this splice done here. Get my heat shrink on there. Good there. Good glue squeeze out is what you want right there on your heat shrink tubing. That's a good connection. Those are both good connections. So I'll roll with that. I'll wrap that up, pull all my excess through, cut my cable on that end, and then I'll install my terminals on the battery. Then we'll have a battery in the cab. Here's my battery cable splice. Got that running up with the wiring harness on this side. That's running across the dash. Running under the dash, down to the floor, into my battery box. And I've got this battery disconnect, this same one I ran on the Cavalier, the dirt track car off Amazon. It comes with a bracket. It's going to go somewhere in here where I can reach it, because I don't know if you can hear it. I'll show you. But whenever I got this battery hooked up, after a while, something starts running under the hood of this. Right down in here somewhere. You hear that? Like a pump or something is running. I don't know what that could be. So I gotta leave this unhooked. Hear it shut off. I gotta leave that disconnected. So I'll throw that disconnect switch on there. I've got this pipe insulation that I'm gonna feed the wire harnesses into on both sides. In case something tries to pinch it, that'll be a little bit of protection. I also got the back of this hood bit up so that it clears everything pretty good. And I'll show you how I did that. It's pretty simple. You just get yourself a wood block, lift the hood, and right here on the hinge, you just set your block down, slide it up in there until it gets a bite on that block. And you just flex this hood, push it down, and it bends the back of that hinge up like that. So you got it where you want it. I probably bent it too much there because I had it where I wanted it already. Yeah, see, now it doesn't shut. Got this bent up too high. Now the back of the hood sits up higher. You're not hitting anything in there that you move. You're not pinching any wires. And this hood actually wouldn't latch before, and now it does, so that's cool. I got this tank sitting back here, got the fittings, the correct fittings on it. I was going to build an enclosure for it out of angle iron, but I don't have any angle iron right now, unless I find a good deal on it somewhere. I think I'm just going to weld some all thread to the floor. So actually, I remembered I had some old T-posts laying around. So, and I have more than this too. But I think I'm actually going to make the fuel cell cage out of this. And then I can make a windshield bar out of this stuff too. They're actually really good for it. Just like that. Alright, that's cut out and welded together now. I was gonna weld it to the seat bar for the cage, but I think I'll be alright with just, I bent these seat brackets down, the rear seat brackets down, and got this sitting pretty well level there. So I think I'm just going to weld it there, and then along here, and this will protect the bottom of the can. If anything crushes, it won't crush the bottom of the can. Gas tank's mounted and everything. Just welded some all thread. Bent these tank straps. And it's not going anywhere for sure. That all thread kind of welded the frame to the body a little better too. Just welded both to the T-post and the floor. So I'm gonna end up using this these old clothesline poles made out of oil filled pipe because it's free and that's what the budget calls for. So I'm gonna get the Sawzall out, cut these off the concrete bases. I probably just need this one and maybe a little bit off one of the clothesline poles, so I'll just take this one over there for now. So the plan is, since this has got a pretty straight, actually it's got a really straight dash bar, and it's pretty good. I think what I'm gonna do is cut out a circle in that 2 3/8 to fit the oil filled pipe, and cut a small section of the pipe, weld to the end of that, and the other end I'll cut like a saddle to weld my door bar to, and maybe weld the sheet metal back to it to add that structure to it as well. I'll have to notch out this door and then basically slam the door on it and wedge it in there. And then that pipe, the door bar will go, all the way to here. I'll probably weld some angle to that so it's easier to weld the pipe to it. And take it back just far enough. Angle on there. Take the pipe just far enough past this pillar to be able to go have my seat bar go behind the seat, and then my halo bar go through the glass opening in the door. So I'm going to start working on that now. I think it's time to get new blades. Well, I got that fitting pretty good on there. Got my radiuses grinded. I'm gonna make a template for that cut, streamline it a little bit out of cheap plastic folder. So wrap that nice and tight around there. take my Sharpie. I'm just gonna trace the profile of that on the inside. Then whenever I need to make another 90 degree cut like that, I can just wrap that around there, wrap it in some electric tape, trace it out, then I got the right curve and everything. So it's gonna sit in there like that. I'll mark out my hole, cut that out with a grinder, because I can't get in there with a hole saw with the door. And then weld those together. That'll sit in there. I'll have a saddle joint for my door bar, and I'll weld that together. We'll go from there. Okay, so I changed my mind. It was way easier to just use the hole saw and take the door off. That fits in there nicely. Actually, that dash bar actually fits inside that. So I'll go ahead and cut the other side out, make another piece like this for that side, and then we'll get the door bars cut and welded in. Well, I've not used a stick welder in a long time, so I guess let's see if we can't burn this in. Alright, so let me show you what I'm looking at now. So, get it set in there. Get that propped up. Got some angle iron as a bracket. And we got this big gap on the back of the B-pillar. So I think what I'm gonna do, I got that marked with Sharpie. I think I'm gonna notch that out and try to bend this right there where it lays flat on that B-pillar. So I got both my door bars set in there. They're not welded to the angle iron yet. So I'm gonna get my seat bar in first. So I cut it slightly oversized to try to put some tension on this. Got that one welded in there. And I got my seat bar notched on both sides. Like I said, this is about a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch too wide. So I'm just gonna jam it in there and hammer it till it's about straight, and that should put some tension on this whole cage. Well, shoot. Let's try it again. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to tack one end in place because I keep getting one into place, but it's pushing the other end back forward. So I'm gonna tack one end and then get it the rest of the way. Got the cage burnt in now. Just got the halo bar left to put in the car. And halo bar will just go right here, right behind where the seat bar is welded to. I found out that this seat had airbag in it, so make sure you check that, because that would have been bad. So I got that out. I might have to call this video here. I feel like I've gone pretty long on this, even though I only have the halo left to do, and not much left. Battery disconnect switch, got to put that in, tidy some stuff up, and then windshield bar, and then paint is all I can think of. So we're pretty well there. in the home stretch of it. So, catch you next time.